Good day. Today, as our guest, we have Mr. Irvin Davis, Managing Director of Davis Ecolife, and he will be sharing some of his thoughts with us on the whole question of the use of alternative energy in Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome, Irvin.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris.
Okay. So let's start off, Irvin. Why Davis Ecolife? What inspired you to start this company?
I would say I was motivated by when I left the university, I ended up working in the food industry, and it took me in Europe and other places in the world. So I saw renewable energy, in the Black Sea, all over the place, wind farms, all kind of things. So when I came here, I did a few things, and then I had the concept and the idea from then, and I eventually just kind of took the plunge back in, I would say, 2012 is when we officially got into the business of renewable and energy efficiency.
And how has it been so far, generally speaking?
I would say it has been rewarding in some cases, and then in some cases you could consider it to be like a swimming upstream to a large extent, particularly because Trinidad and Tobago is considered to be an oil and gas country. So actually when we started, most people wondered why we started such a business here. So we a mixed bag, really.
That actually was my next question, because Trinidad being oil producing and so on, people are accustomed to energy at a low cost in terms of their light bill, in terms of their water bills, in terms of gas for their vehicles and so on. So we are not very much a conscious society in terms of use of alternative energy. So if I'm a man on the street, how can you convince me that this is something I should consider?
More so along the lines of efficiency, which is low hanging fruit. And then usually when people start to see some savings, so even despite the fact that here the cost of energy is the cheapest, it's actually one of the cheapest in the Western Hemisphere. When people start to see some savings, and then more and more people have become more environmentally conscious. So they're taking the initiative themselves to want to make a change for the environment and also for their pockets.
So in terms of savings, exactly how much money are we talking for a typical household?
It could range anywhere between, we have had situations where people are saving up to $1,000, $1,500 on their general utility bill on each billing cycle. Because we offer efficiency, which efficiency in any case would be about 20% of your overall light bill. And then we would introduce solar. So when we get the home more efficient, then we introduce solar. And this also could be for your commercial environment too. It could be for office space. It don't necessarily need to be for your home. People will start see the savings from these standpoints in terms of having a reduction in their overall bill. So if you start to see a 20%, you're going to be motivated to say to me, okay, what's the next step? And more so for commercial, you would have done an audit outlining and map a strategy moving forward for them.
So before we go on to the question of solar energy, let's talk a little more about the efficiency savings that could be derived. Give us an example.
Efficiency could just start with you switching out your lights, your regular incandescent bulbs home to LEDs. And that in itself is a 20 to 30% saving for you directly. And you don't have to wait 2-3 months. That's immediate. So your next bill cycle, you would see that reduction in it. So that to me, people buying, for instance, if you choose to invest in more and more now, the availability of inverter, air conditioning units, inverter, general home appliances, fridge to TVs, TVs are minimal, but your washing machine and stuff like that, that would generally consume a lot of power. So those are the kind of efficiency stands that you will have to make. And just being, you could automate it, you could include situations where we have sensors in your home so that, a lot of the times people leave lights on.
Yes.
You could have situations where you put motion activated lighting systems in place so that people are more, it's not dependent on anyone to turn it off, but it's, if anyone is in the room,
Automated.
yes.
But is there a cost element to getting higher efficiency over the long term in terms of upfront spend?
Yes. For the lighting aspect of it, there is let's say you would spend an additional 20 to 30% to acquire the let's say lighting, and even for appliances and air conditioning, there's another 20 to 30% that you would have to put up. But that savings would basically write off that cost in a short period.
So we spoke about inverters, we spoke about the LED. I myself have noticed over the years, the price of LED bulbs has dropped significantly from, let's say, 5 years ago. So it's a lot more affordable now. You agree?
Yes, definitely over the years. The price has dropped, and then the quality of the product has also improved. When let's say 6-7 years ago, when LEDs were kind of just making it out on the market, the quality was a problem, and the price was pretty much very high. Comparatively, for instance, if I give an example, a regular a tube, like a regular fluorescent tube would cost you about $25, whilst 5 years ago an LED tube was $150, $160. Now, for instance, the price has gone down to $35, $40, $50, $60. So there's been a significant reduction. So affordability should mean that more people, there should be a better uptake of these low-hanging fruit in terms of efficiency and trying to make a step towards lowering your carbon footprint.
So if we could go to the question now of solar energy and why solar, what's the most feasible alternative energy source in Trinidad besides the oil and gas that we are familiar with?
Solar, because the abundance of sunshine throughout the year. You do have occasions where you may have overcast conditions for 2-3 days, but predominantly you have solar is quite abundant. What we have done, we have managed to develop packages over the years for our clients and potential clients. So we offer a system now that can, most homes, we could run 2 air conditioning units, all your refrigerator, your TV, all your lights in your home, and once we are making sure too that those lighting systems are LEDs. So predominantly run 80 to 90% of your home from solar on a 24-hour basis.
And what would that cost you?
That cost now, as a company, we are offering that package roughly at about $58,500. There's been a slight increase in the cost, particularly because since the pandemic, we have had some challenges with shipping, and material costs has gone up a little bit. So there's a slight increase from 55, which was our entry price into the market, and we got a lot of uptake for that. But given the circumstances now, we had to go up just marginally. So.
And what sort of payback period are we talking about?
Payback period, that may not be, the payback period particularly in Trinidad is a little longer than you would have in the rest of the region. Talking about 6 to 7 years in terms of payback, given the kind of client. So you would have a situation where a client that buys such a system, they may start saving up to between $1,000 and $1,500 in terms of their overall saving. So you calculate that over the period.
Yes. Well, I know the commission is probably going to review the electricity rates in a short period of time, so maybe that might reduce the payback period.
Yes,
Yeah.
well, I think it's way past the stage of review. I think they're at the point where they're trying to finalize what's the actual cost that, so it seemed to me at this point that it's inevitable that you would definitely have an increase in terms of utility costs. So what may happen from that, you may have people more motivated to want to, because when it starts to hit your pocket, the cost of energy, your utility bill, if they also include increases from WASA, then you now have a situation where you have just several increases around the board, across the board for your general utilities home. So you would want to cut where you can.
Yes. Now, on the backdrop of your screen there, we're seeing looks like a solar street lighting project. Could you share a little bit about that with the audience?
Oh, well, that's actually that is something that got us excited a couple of months ago, where we got information of a community called Cumaca, and that's in the Valencia area in East Trinidad. And that community has been existing for the last 40 years. They don't have any direct water supply from WASA. They live on spring water, which is not a bad thing. And they also don't have any contact with TNTech. So they use generators and whatever they can in candles, whatever sweet home lamps they still use. So what we did was we said that we went and visited the community, interacted with them, made some contacts, and we as a company said, we're giving back. So what we did was we installed a number of street lights in the area, and which had an impact on the general. I figure people were excited by it. So the overall feel and buzz in the community was good. Everybody wanted one in front of the gate, and it was quite exciting. And we were happy that we were able to do it. So that happened a couple of months ago. And from that, we said, guess what? Let's look on a plan, a long-term plan, if we could engage other corporate citizens in Trinidad and Tobago to have a plan moving forward where we would provide homes with a minimum of 3 kilowatts of solar power. So, people can live a little bit more comfortable in terms of how they exist in that community. So that's really what that project is about. So the lighting is the first stage, the first step of kind of electrifying Cumaca.
So what's the next step on the time frame that you have in mind?
The time frame, the next step would be that we already started to engage some corporate potential players in terms of being a part of the project. But given what would have happened in terms of lockdown and just how COVID, the shifting environment with COVID, things kind of slow down. So now that we're kind of opening up a bit, I will re-engage and see where they are and see how quickly we could at least get 5 to maybe about start with another 5 units for five families there would have an impact on their lives.
So how many street lights did you install?
Oh, we installed 10 street lights.
Oh, that's quite a lot.
Yeah. We staggered them. I think we went as far up to the community center. So we would have started from a crucial area for them, which is the spring that they would come to and catch the water.
Yeah.
On a daily basis, night or day. So we started the street lights there, and then we to the community center / well, it is really where the school was. But they no longer use the school, so it's presently a community center. So we installed a couple there inside of that compound. And along the way, in terms of where residents live, then we would install, there's one shop in the community. But of course the shop has no electricity there. So we install a solar light there in front of the shop, because it's important for these things when you take it very simply, because I grew up in rural. Where I grew up in a rural community. And if you have lighting outside, then that would be like a meeting spot for a lot of people to come and provide some entertainment, provide some, people play cards, people indulge in games. It's a social kind of spot for people who live in these areas.
So you had mentioned the point, and I didn't get the opportunity to ask the question. With solar energy, it may be impacted by overcast skies and so, but I know you use battery power. How long can you store that solar energy for if it rains all day, for example?
Great. So if it rains all day for the entire day, it doesn't mean that the solar is not producing. It may not be producing at the rate that it would have when there is bright sun. But our backup period is a minimum of 24 hours.
Okay.
So whilst you have overcast conditions, you still would have some level of charging taking place. And then we have the good thing about our system is that we could monitor it remotely from anywhere we are. So we could get a sense of what's going.
The power levels,
the production levels, the battery levels, all of these things can be monitored remotely. So, we could get into that a little bit more in terms of how we have managed to incorporated technology in being able to monitor and optimize efficiency on with these solar systems that we offer.
And referring to the Cumaca project, what sort of feedback did you get from villagers or elders in the village and so?
Well, it was actually pretty good. It got us excited. The elders were very happy. They call us the light guys up there. They offered us whether or not we want to get some land. It was pretty exciting because we gave back, not looking for anything. You just gave back because we felt there was a need, and if we are in a position to help, then we felt that we should help.
That's a very wonderful initiative.
Yeah,
I'm sure it will be paid forward.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping so. But that's fine. If it's paid for, I'm sure in some way, shape, or form, I think for us, the excitement, or the joy we got from it as a team, as a company, was the fact that we were able to make a difference in the lives of people who have been, I don't want to say neglected, but this hasn't been what they have been used to for years. Right. So being able to be on a street, come out to catch water by the spring, and you no longer need to come with a torchlight or whatever you normally come with, because there's a light there. So if there's anything there, you could see, because it's in the forested area. So in some cases, you may have snakes in the area.
Correct.
So from a safety standpoint, just being able to do that, I think we're very happy. And we really look forward to being able to do more and extending the project in terms of providing solar for the homes. At least persons who are the plan really is to start with the elder ones in the community. So people who live alone, because we have people 70-year-old who are living alone with no really not definitely not in the area, but no power in the home. So those are the ones that we're excited about, definitely providing them with some solar so that they could enjoy it. They could watch some TV at night, they live alone, some sort of comfort, some sort of joy will be brought to them.
Well, I know we have the contact information for Davis Ecolife running there at the bottom in terms of your website and your Facebook page. Any final words, Irvin?
Yes. Really, I just want to say our company tagline is "Small changes make a big difference." So even if it's switching out a light bulb, turning off a light when you're not in the area, all of these things contribute to, from an efficiency standpoint, to making you use less and also a savings for the environment. So in any small way that you can have an impact, you should do it as an individual.
Couldn't agree anymore. Thank you again, and thanks for tuning in to this session.
Thank you for having us.
Okay.